Good afternoon and welcome back to the RDA channel. Glad to have you with us. This is your Manchester United season review brought to you by Shawnee325, Reta, and obviously your boy Triple M, yours truly. So hit that like button if you are interested, subscribe if you are new, and do not be shy in the comments down below. We would like to get your thoughts and opinions. Basically, what we'll be discussing in this video is our thoughts on the player of the season, most improved player of the season, goal of the season, moment of the season, the best transfer of the season, the worst transfer of the season, and thoughts on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, aka the PE teacher. So again, hit that like button if you are interested in that. And without any further ado, gentlemen, how are you doing post Manchester United season? Like, what are you feeling 2 days after or 3 days after we got third? Or is it 4 now? I'm not sure.
I've been feeling very relaxed. I think, all the stress as a United fan is gone. And I think that, now I'm just looking to the board and to the club who we bring in, get the Sancho deal, whether or not we can get people like Grealish in. And other than the transfer rumours and people leaving the club, Sanchez and all those guys, I've been pretty relaxed.
Yeah.
I'm feeling pretty good. It's been a long, emotional season. It's been an emotional roller coaster. I think more than any season in the last 7 years, in my opinion. But I think we've been strong, and I'm happy with what the job I think Solskjaer has done. And now it's just the transfers and see what we do there.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about it being a roller coaster. I mean, talk about being 14 points away from third in December towards the beginning of January, and then finishing in the top three. Unbelievable stuff, man. Unbelievable stuff. What for you was the match of the season? Which game for you was the one game you remember from the season? That's a difficult question to answer, in my opinion, because there's a lot of memorable games. I've got one in mind actually, but what do you guys think? What was your favorite match of the season?
You're asking me, you're asking both of us.
Both of you. But I mean,
My favorite match of the season is definitely, I think, the City game. I think it's the City game where McTominay came in. The one where McTominay hit that shot, and so I think that was my favorite game of the season. But in terms of memorable games of the season, it's got to be like that Burnley game or that Newcastle game where we just thought it was over. It was over as a football club. We were done.
That Aston Villa game where we drew 2-2. We actually bottled it in the 90th minute. I agree. What for you, man? There's a lot to pick from, man. There's a lot to pick from, because I tell you what, ever since the resumption of football, I think there's a lot of games that we won 3 or 5, or the one we won 5-2 against Bournemouth that could be way above the City game. But the City game's a good pick. What do you think?
It's so hard to pick. I'm trying to think, but I think I have to agree with Shinny. I think for me, the Newcastle game was the lowest of lows. And I know one can say it got worse after that, because we lost to Bournemouth, we lost to Watford. But that day where Rashford was playing a striker, and we just looked like we're nothing in attack. I was like, is this Manchester United? So, that was pretty.
Longstaff as well, fam, who scored, fam.
Yeah.
That
was pretty sad. But I have to agree with Shinny. If I have to think back when I was the happiest, it was when McTominay scored that goal and beat Man City 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that was, and we'll get to it in a bit. For me, that was the moment of the season. But I don't know if that was my match of the season, because for a large portion of that game, we were just trying to hit them on the break. If I had to pick a game where I thought, this is it, this is done. I don't know if picking the 2-0 win against Leicester is fair, because we got third and that's the obvious thing. But I don't know. It's hard for me to pick, because the 2-1 win at Old Trafford at the Etihad, the first derby we played after we beat Mourinho midweek, when he recently got appointed at Spurs, that for me was a really good game. And I'll tell you what, we should have been 4-1 up in that first half. There was 4 clear-cut opportunities, bar the penalty and bar Martial's goal, where we really could have hurt City. I remember Mason Greenwood having a shot on the edge of the box, and I was like, yeah, but it's Mason Greenwood. He's just going to wrap his left foot around it. But somehow Edison got to it, and I was just like, nah. I think that game for me was my personal favorite game of the season. Who do you think is player of the season then? Who are your candidates? And this is an interesting one, because on Twitter,
we'll go with top 3.
Yeah, we can go top 3, but we want to make it juicier than that. We want to see who's number 1. You know,
Yeah,
I
we'll go
personally think
we'll go 3-2-1.
I'll let you guys go first, but I will say this. I saw on Twitter that a lot of people seem to think that Anthony Martial is deserving. And I know that Shoni likes Aaron Wan-Bissaka, so I'm interested to hear your answer first. Like, who's in your top three and who's first?
Well, I think third place for me, without a doubt, is Mason Greenwood, my son, definitely.
Yeah.
And then, I was thinking about it. I have heard everyone's opinions about the Martial one, but Martial, it's a tight one. But Martial is a very close runner-up for me, so he's my second player, my second guy in my runner-up, and my player of the season hasn't changed from the beginning. It's still Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
You think he was that important for United?
Yeah, I think that the whole season, that man, he was perfect. He was perfect. Only until after lockdown he started dripping form. But other than that, the whole season, he was perfect.
It's hard to argue with that. I mean, I've got one argument.
I will kind of argument. Like, Wan-Bissaka is very consistent, but I don't know. Maybe saying that because he's a defender, he's not as influential is maybe a harsh thing to say. But I feel like some of our attackers, the shift that they put in were game-changing and season-changing, and they carried us on their backs. So for me, I just feel like was a very important part of the season. So with that in mind, Wan-Bissaka has been amazing, consistent, but I'm going to put him in third. And then in second, it's going to be Tony Martial, because his numbers have been very consistent, and he makes a difference. He makes a difference within the team. But for me, and people might argue this, my player of the season is Marcus Rashford, because I think he's not.
I thought you were going to go with Fred or someone like that. I was like, whoa.
I think his numbers were very important for us, because there was a period when we started the season, he wasn't that great. He was playing striker, and really it wasn't his position. But October, November passed, and then Martial came back. He moved to the left, and around that period, he basically carried us on his back, and he got points that I think were very valuable. As much as we didn't win every game, we're still winning games here and there. And I feel like without some of these performances there, even if Bruno came in later, might have been way too far back to even challenge for the top. So for me, I have to say Rashford's player of the season.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. I think for me, the top three goes as follows. In third, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. In second, Anthony Martial. And in first, actually, no, sorry. Scrap that. In third, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. In second, Marcus Rashford. And in first, Anthony Martial. And here's why. The reason why I don't put Aaron Wan-Bissaka first is not because, like, if he was a centre-back, I would have 100% put him in first. But the problem with being a fullback in football is there's only so much a fullback can do wrong, and there's only so much a fullback can do well. Now, I'm not saying a fullback isn't influential, and I'm not saying a fullback is an easy position, because it's not. You're running up and down the pitch, and it's a very important role, particularly on that left-hand side. We saw how important Luke Shaw was to Marcus Rashford and how Aaron Wan-Bissaka is to Greenwood and vice versa, right? But I just think you remove Aaron Wan-Bissaka from that team, and it's not really the difference between us making top four and not making top four. You know what I mean? Like, it was influential, but it wouldn't have been a train wreck if Wan-Bissaka picked up an injury. You know, in hindsight, it wouldn't have been the biggest train wreck, I should say. Like, because if you remove Bruno, we still have Wan-Bissaka in defense, but where are the goals coming from? You know, so it's one of them things where, look, I just think if he was a centre back, I would have been like, yeah, but like on the right, there's only so much you can do, and it's unfortunate. And I would say the same about any other right back in the world. Like, how do you argue that Trent is Liverpool's player of the season when he's a right back? You know, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, it's a harsh thing to say, but like I feel like if you remove Wan-Bissaka, but you still got every other player there, there's a very good chance you still make top four. But if you remove Bruno or Rashford and those players who score the goals, I just don't.
Yeah. I mean, we might have dropped 6 points to City, you know, because you never know. Sterling might have had a feast, you know, if Wan-Bissaka wasn't there to put his keys, his wallet, and Sterling in the pocket. So I hate to say Wan-Bissaka wasn't that influential, because he was. Aaron Wan-Bissaka was influential, and I just think it's so difficult to make a case against him, but he's a right back. Like,
plus, what I would say is, like, you know, he could have got more assists, but I think that also this is this man's first season at United, you know. He had no warm-up or anything, no time to get used to it. He came in, he was consistent, perfect, unbeatable for the whole season. So, amazing. And I love Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I loved him before he came to us, and He's definitely
100%. And then the reason why I put Martial first instead of Rashford is because I think Martial, ever since he started playing to when the end of the season's come, he's been perfect. The problem with Rashford is he had a spell where he was brilliant, and without him, we wouldn't have been in this position. Just like without Bruno, we wouldn't have been in this position. But was it the whole season though? And that's the problem with Rashford. He was injured at some point, and the first part of his season wasn't that impressive. 22 goals, 7 assists, that's amazing. But I think the player of the season should be given to someone who's not only close to being the best player with the numbers, but also consistent, throughout the season. And so I want to give Rashford's he is my favorite United player, but I'm not just going to give it to him because of that. I think without Martial down the middle, I mean, you just man-mark Rashford and then what, and then what, Martial's hold-up play and Martial's hold-up play, Martial's work off the ball, Martial's lack of selfishness or selflessness, I guess you could say, it was just brilliant for Manchester United this season. Whereas with Rashford, there was a lot of times where I was like, you better score, because the amount of shots you've taken that have made me scratch my head is going to make me rip my hair out. So, that's the thing about Rashford. But he was brilliant. And I'm not going to deny his influence. But like everybody else, he just didn't do it the whole time. And I was tempted to put Bruno on this list, but I was going to sound like a hypocrite.
I was very tempted.
I famously said when we did the team of the decade, I do not want to put someone in this team who's only been here for 6 months. Yeah. They need to earn it by showing that they can be consistent for a whole season.
It depends on your argument as well, because if you're all out for consistency, then you can't put them there because you've only been here for a couple of months. But if you want to talk about how influential the player's been for the team, it's kind of hard to look past Bruno.
In terms of that's why I wanted to put him on. Like Bruno is the reason we got top 4.
Yeah, Bruno is the reason we got top 4. But like, the only reason I don't want to put him in there is because he just hasn't been here long enough. Like, how cheap is it to put Bruno in a player of the season?
Yeah, it's like if you want to put Pogba in it now.
It's like if you're Pogba. Yeah, like
a lot of pundits are gonna put him in. Trust.
Yeah, they probably will. But I just think Bruno hasn't been here long enough. And look, Bruno Fernandes, we weren't getting top 4 without him. But we don't know what Bruno Fernandes would have been like if he was here the whole season. If teams had 6 months to prepare and be like, okay, we saw what this guy did in the first half of the season. Let's set up like this and try stop him. I think we would have still gotten top 4 with Bruno, but we'll just never know because he wasn't here long enough, and that's the problem with Bruno. And it's the same argument I used for Rashford not winning. He was injured for a period of time, and he played poorly for a period of time before that sort of 3 months where he was good. So, for me, it's about consistency and going above and beyond the average player in your team. That's how I rate player of the season. Like, you can't just be good for 6 months and then not be there. Like, literally, you weren't even there. You weren't even wearing a red shirt, But moving on.
That's a fair argument.
Yeah, but, it is opinionated at the end of the day, people. So just chillax. Put your willies back in your pants. Moving on, most improved player of the season. Who do you guys think this goes to? Because I've heard a lot of people on Twitter saying Fred. And I look at Fred and I'm like, yeah, but what about people like Greenwood and Martial?
It's tough. That's my top 2. Between those two, I think between Martial and Greenwood, for me, it's I don't know who wins it. I don't know. But I don't think Greenwood. I think Greenwood has always been amazing like that in terms of
exactly.
I think he can improve. So I'm gonna give it to Martial. I think Martial has completely changed his game as a striker. He's got his goals, he's got his assists, he's showing he can do everything that Man United want from a striker. So Martial is my most improved player.
Look, the difficult thing about this argument, I would say, is trying to measure what a player was like before the season and what they are after the season. And when you have that in mind, I can see why people would go for someone like Fred. Because at one point, we were like, this guy's a Brazilian flop. And then at another point, we were like, this guy should win player of the season. Look at what he's doing on the field, So it's tough. Rita, who are you going with?
Yeah, it is. It is very tough. I'm not going to put Greenwood there because I don't think, he could have always been like this. And he just came from the youth setup, as Shini says. So I'm not going to put him that list. I'm tempted to put Fred first because the jump from what Fred was before the season is quite incredible because he was a player who wasn't getting game time. And when he did play, he just looked, the player just didn't belong in the league, he didn't belong at a club this big. He looked like a flop. And then the season comes, Ole getting game time, and he's literally our linchpin in the midfield. So
yeah,
it's hard to look past him. But when you look for a step forward, with Martial, it's been very clear to us. He was playing on the wing. We saw what he could do. We saw what he lacked in. He moved in.
Yeah.
He's now becoming a striker, and he completely changed his game. You could say before he moved, you could say his strengths were in dribbling, but now he's moved in and he's a hold-up player, and he's sticking in the box. He's playing like a number 9, and that's a massive jump. So that's Martial.
Interesting, man. Interesting, because I saw people put people like Matic in their tweets, and I was like,
it's ridiculous.
Did Matic really become better? This is an ex-Premier League winner, dude. Like, who did you think Matic was before, he started playing well again? Like, I don't know if that counts. If a player went from being good to bad, then good again, I don't know if that counts. But anyways, well, yeah, I guess that settles the argument, man. I guess that. Wait, who would you say is your top 3 though? So Fred, Martial, and
Jeez, my
who's that third? Because I tell you what, I was not a huge fan of Luke Shaw before the season.
I was about to say Luke Shaw. Yeah.
Just saying.
Look, I think Luke Shaw.
Yeah, my top 3 would probably be Luke Shaw, Martial, and Greenwood.
I think Luke Shaw always had the talent, but the consistency was never there. And I feel like Ole has played a very big part in us seeing what he's really made of. But I think praise has to go to him as well. So I'd put Luke Shaw in there.
Yeah, and look, some people might even say Rashford as well, because Rashford was never ever in the conversation for one of the best left wingers in Europe. All of a sudden, when his team needs him, he gets a stress fracture because he's carrying his team so hard. So interesting. Let us know in the comments down below what you think. Yeah.
I think what all this says is how good Ole is at improving players, at managing players. Because we've had so many managers who couldn't get the best out of these players. And he comes, yes, there's questions about his tactics, but so many players are improving their individual performances. And that has to be given to him.
No, Oli doesn't have a clue what he's doing. This is Oli in the dressing room. All right, lads. Fantastic. I want you to go out there and express yourselves. Let's get to the drinks break. Matic, I need you to hold the ball and take 4 or 5 touches. Be careful. Do whatever you feel is comfortable. I got my PE degree, lads, so let's not disappoint when we go out there. All right? Yeah, so... Yeah, no, those are all valid points, man. Those are all valid points. This one is an interesting one. What do you think was the goal of the season? Because I tell you what, there were a lot of candidates for this award. And the thing about the goal of the season for me is I tend to throw, that whole objective thinking out the window. This is when I become a biased football fan. Because to me, the goal of the season was the most improved. I mean, the most memorable goal I can remember. And for me, it was that goal against McTominay, against City. I know it doesn't make sense. Edison basically gave the ball to him. But for me, that was one of the goals of the season. But what do you guys think? Because there's a lot of candidates.
I'll give you my top 3. My top 3. Because it's tough. It's tough between 2, but I think my goal of the season. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just remember that now, but it wasn't even in my list. Like, the third one I was thinking was the Bruno free kick where he chips it over and Martial just hits it near post against City. The other one...
And Martial scored 2 chips this season, by the way. All you Harry Kane people out there, by the way.
The other one was that Martial one, the one that recently came where he missed the tap. I can't remember what game it was for some reason. But he came on and he hit that outside of the box. Madness.
Oh, yeah.
Winner. But my goal of the season is, I think without a doubt, was Marcus Rashford's free kick against Chelsea. That was my goal of the season.
Yeah. I mean, even after lockdown, Martial, sorry to disrupt you, but Martial did score a finesse curler outside the box, even after lockdown.
Yeah. The most recent one. People will know which one.
Yeah.
You'll see it on Twitter.
There's so many, bro. There's so many.
Martial has a lot of good goals. And the Martial chip, I've started calling it, when people chip, I started calling it the Martial special because he does it really, really well. But yeah, in third, I'm going to put Harry Maguire against Tranmere. I think that goal.
I remember that one. It was a great one. No, yeah, I remember. It was a great goal.
It was really, really good. Especially for Harry Maguire. Like, you just don't expect him to score that type of goal.
It was a great goal. Yeah,
Greenwood scored a cracker in that game, you know as well. Like he scored a brilliant
all the
goal.
Goals that day was amazing.
Yeah, that's. I wasn't
1,000 points for creativity, mate. Like I wouldn't have even thought of that.
And then in second, I don't know. It's one of the first chips Marshall had scored. I think it was against Brighton or something. Where they dribbled 3 players or something.
Yeah,
Then
I think it was against Newcastle. There's that famous photo of 2 Newcastle players on the floor. The goalkeeper's also on the floor. And Michelle's just running away celebrating.
Thought the ball was out. Yeah, the commentator thought the ball was out. And somehow he put it back in and chipped it. And they were like, "That's how good he can be." And like that goal was out of the spot. So for me, it's second. And then first, I agree, Shin. It has to be that free kick. One of the best free kicks I've seen from United. From Rashford. Yeah.
I'm trying to think about that Martial goal you're talking about there, because that wasn't the one he scored against Newcastle then. The one you're talking about, he scored at Old Trafford. And I remember remember vividly watching that and being like, "Martial, pull the trigger. What are you doing? This guy's too calm to be a number 9 at Old Trafford. Just shoot." That's what I was thinking.
And that's why I remember the Rashford free kick, because when Rashford stepped up, I was like, "Oh God, please no! This is going Rose head, taking more free kicks forever." And then he put that out, and I was like, "Well, here we go."
I've seen people compare the free kick.
Yeah.
It was people compare the free kicks to Ronaldo's.
Yeah. Personally, I think it's better. Not by much, but slightly better.
Because it was so far away. But there's that famous clip of Mark Goldridge. When Rashford stepped up to take the free kick, he was like, "Rashford should never take."
That's exactly how I was.
And then he scored it, and he was like, "This is why Rashford takes free kicks." And I was like, "Wow." It's interesting. I tell you what, Martial has scored 2 chips that could be candidate for goal this season. He's scored 2 finesse shots, if I'm not mistaken. One outside the box, which was recently. I don't know if he scored another goal where he dribbled past players and it wasn't a chip, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is one out there. I'm trying to think. Mason Greenwood has a few good goals as well, not just against Tranmere, but in general. Even after lockdown, but even before lockdown, he has quite a few. So I don't know.
There was that opportunity Marshall had a few weeks ago where he dribbled like 6 players.
Yeah, that would have been
If you just thought that, that was goals.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest and say the goals I celebrated the most, and I'm even ashamed to admit this, was Jesse Lingard's goal against Leicester City to get us 3rd place.
Yeah,
and McTominay. Yeah, and McTominay's goal against City. Listen, lads, I don't know what you want me to say. That was, for me, the most memorable goal. I was stressing, like, "No, boys, please, don't get a draw against City. Close it out." Edison does his thing, and then McTominay just scores, and I lost it. So I think, for me, I won't say goal of the season, but that was definitely my moment of the season.
Yeah, the one I celebrated the most, and I feel sad saying this because of the team it was against, is Liverpool at the start of the season, because I thought we were going to get bats in that game. And then Rashford put something out of the
bag. That's why I was so disappointed.
I lost it. Even if you drew, but like...
Yeah. No, that makes sense. But anyways, moving on. Let's talk about the transfers this season. Obviously, Manchester United signed Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire, Dan James, which was an odd signing at the time, but some of us were excited for it. And I'm not sure who else I'm missing there. I think that's the 3 we signed initially in the summer, right? Am I missing anyone? I don't think I'm missing anyone. And then we obviously signed Bruno in January, so I don't know if that counts. I mean, if you want to put him in there.
And Carlo on loan.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Carlo on loan. So if Bruno counts, then I don't think there's any point asking this, but who is the best transfer for you in terms of price and in terms of what they did for the team over the season? Because I tell you what, Aaron Wan-Bissaka from Palace looks like a bargain now.
No, yeah, Aaron is my player of the season. He's my signing of the season. He got me the most excited in that window, because when we United signed him, it was like if United had signed Jack Grealish, I was so gassed. I'm like, this is one of my favorite players in that position. And United have just gone and signed him. I've seen him at Palace. He was amazing. I had him in my fantasy league team. You know, I really loved Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and I knew he was good. I didn't think he'd be that good when he came to United. He looked even better when he came to United. So yeah, no, Wan-Bissaka is definitely my favorite. I think he's been our most successful, other than Bruno, excluding Bruno. Maguire, I think, has been, for the majority, good. I think he's been, hit and miss recently, but I think that also could be down to fatigue. The guy didn't miss any freaking game ever. And in terms of Dan James, that was, it started off amazingly, fairy tale story and everything, but then, it slowly went decreased, and now I'm just worried about what his future is like.
But Shawnee, Maguire's a flop. You guys paid 18 million for him, and he got nutmegged by a Bournemouth player. He's a flop, Shawnee. He's a flop. Put him in the bin with VAR. No, I get you though. I kind of agree, to be honest. Who are you going with?
He's made really good signings, and I'll give my top three. I'll put Maguire in third because as much as there's been a lot of questions around him, I think he's a good defender. And I know people say Lindelof if we've got a new defender, but personally, I'm going to stick with Harry Maguire. I think he's a slightly better centre back. And I feel like he just offers so much. Maybe he needs to work on his consistency, especially because he's captain. But I think he's when you look at the top defenders in the league, I think it's Van Dijk, Laporte, and I think Maguire is the best of the rest, in my opinion. Then in second, Wan-Bissaka. He's put no foot wrong. He's been absolutely amazing. And he's coming from Crystal Palace, where he was doing all of this, but I feel like because the smaller club, he wasn't really being noticed for the effort he was doing. So I think he's been very consistent and brilliant signing. And I stand Shini saying he's the player of the season. But come on.
Yeah.
Bruno. It has to go to Bruno Fernandes. Without this guy,
he goes right. He makes the defense look like shite. Yeah.
Without this guy, we're not in the top four. Like I'll argue anyone. Without this guy, we're not in the top four. And I think he has to be our signing of the season. Price as well, as you said.
Listen, mate, I'm going to put the Lindelof argument to bed. Lindelof is my favorite defender. I think he's better than Maguire. But you don't spend £80 million and make someone captain just to put them on the bench. It is what it is, dude. It is what it is. So,
and I don't like the price. I don't like the whole price tag thing because I feel like it puts unnecessary pressure on players. Because what were United supposed to do? Leicester wanted 80 million. They had to pay 80 million. So that's not Maguire's fault.
I mean, just on that quickly, and I know this ain't the show for it, but opposition fans are like that because at the end of the day, we're not the team that spent over £1 billion on our team in less than 10 years to become relevant and actually start making noise in Manchester. Yeah. Like, we're not the team that spent over £1 billion in less than 20 years in France just to try fail at winning a Champions League and still lose to a PE teacher using PE tactics on that famous night in Paris 3-1. Just saying, opposition fans are like that. Big teams spend money. If a team wants a certain amount for a player, you're going to have to overspend, especially if they're a Premier League player nowadays. So, yeah, I agree 100%. I think the only reason the price tag gets tied in is because it's comparing other deals that could have been cheaper and potentially better for what you got, So I understand when people say, you got Harry Maguire for £80 million, but was it worth it? Because you could have got this guy for half the price and he was just as decent. For example, a player like Lindelof. Lindelof's price was half Maguire's price and he's arguably made less mistakes than Maguire. So I get it, but I think it's silly. I think it's really silly as well. But yeah, what are your... This is basically the last talking point of the show. Your thoughts on the PE teacher, the Norwegian PE teacher, fam. I heard he got his degree and then he got a job at Cardiff, fam, or Molde, one of them, and then he failed at Cardiff. What are your thoughts on him? Like, after Burnley, when we lost 2-0 at Old Trafford, to finishing third, what are your thoughts now that you've had time to actually think about this guy? His tactical abilities as a manager. His man management is obviously good. Do you think there's something in there with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer where we could win trophies? I don't know about a Premier League, but do you think we could potentially go far and deep in the Champions League a few seasons from now? Maybe even next season. Who knows if we get Sancho? How far do you think Manchester United will go if the board backs him and gives him what he needs?
Well, this is my thoughts on Ole. First off, the season, I wanted him out. Definitely wanted him out. I wanted Poch coming in. I was saying United made mistakes or whatever. But the goal of this season was to get Champions League football. Bruno came in and he got Champions League football. So he showed what happens if Ole's backed. Now, listen, I still don't think he's tactically good enough. I still think he needs to learn a few things tactically wise. But I think he deserves to be at United. I think he deserves this opportunity. I don't think he's going to get fired anytime soon, and rightfully so. He got what the goal was. He secured Champions League football. So now you back him. You go get him Grealish. You go get him Sancho. You go get him a centre back if he wants. And then next season, I think if we're looking at the goals for next season, Champions League needs to be easy. It mustn't be a struggle like this. Like this was our lowest points total ever. Like if we didn't lose games to like the Newcastle, Burnley's, draws against weird teams, we'd have arguably been ahead of City even and closing the gap on Liverpool. So that needs to stop. Champions League must be easy. I would like to see us go through the knockout stages of Champions League, and I think that again, maybe I would like to say I'd say quarterfinal would be amazing. Round of 16, I think it depends. Like we get like a Madrid or like a Bayern in the round of 16. I think it is curtains, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But that would be my goal for next season, and I think whether or not we turn the corner for me still. If I still look back at it, I still would have loved to get Poch. I still think Poch is amazing, but all he deserves his time, and like no one should be just chanting Ollie out for the sake of it because he achieved exactly what he wanted.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, I think one of the most divisive managers, maybe in the history of the Premier League, or at least in the history of Manchester United. Start of the season, I backed him. I was all on it. I was giving time. While everybody, a lot of opposition fans, telling me, "What are you saying? Look at this guy. You guys are playing crap. The bookmakers are saying he's going in December." And then eventually, like it's hard to fight against results. Eventually, I don't fall for it. Yes, there were bad results. I'm not going to say I fell for it like I made a mistake. There were bad results. And I also got to a point where I was saying, get him out. Because we're losing to a Josh King goal against Bournemouth. We're losing to Watford. We're losing to Burnley. Like,
at home.
Imagine.
Bro. Yeah.
I understand giving time, but like it just felt like it was too much. But the lockdown came, and for me, the lockdown gave me an opportunity to sit back and look at the job he's done. Tactically, he was not. Tactically, it looked poor, but he can make a signing. He's made very good signings. Signings we haven't seen at United in a very long time. We've seen the Falcaos, players who've been good, but they've come in and they're just not at the same level.
Yeah,
he's improved how we sign players. He understands the club. We have a lot of structural issues, but he's come in, and as much as we don't have a technical director, we can kind of rely on him because we know he loves the club and he wants the club to go forward, and he knows how it was in the past. So he knows what has changed and what needs to be fixed. A lot of players, as much as we're playing badly, a lot of players have improved. We've seen Alfredo who's better. We've seen McTominay who is better. We've seen Rashford who's scoring goals. So all that was in his favor. And for me, what was lacking is the tactics on the pitch and just getting over the line. And then we come back, gets Bruno Fernandes, and we're playing decent football. We're scoring goals. We're playing with flair. Maybe I complain here and there, and it can improve. But for me, this guy's ticked all the boxes. And I realize there's a lot of managers who are good at tactics. Pochettino can come in and have very good tactics. But I feel like bringing Pochettino, we might have the same mistake we had on Hall and Mourinho, where the club has so many problems, it overwhelms them and holds them back. With Ole, you feel like we won't have that. So I feel like this guy is the right man for the job. And I can see us being a great team. I can see us being a great team and winning a lot of trophies under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Yes, he hasn't done it. And I guess he has to prove himself because his CV, he hasn't won a trophy. He's been at Malta, he's been at Cardiff. But I think he can do it. And Champions League-wise, look, I think if your first team fits in the Champions League, you can go places. We got to the quarterfinal a few years ago, and our team wasn't that great. So I'm not going to predict where we'll finish in the Champions League this season, but I think, who knows? We can even win it, maybe.
I don't know about winning it, but I think we can. The furthest we can make it for me, realistically, is a semi-final. Because if we get a nice route to the final, if we get like a PSG in the round of 16, we've beaten them before. And then if in the next round, if we get like an Ajax or something like that. And then for me, semi-finals is when it's proper curtains because that's when all the good teams are there. But you never know. You never know. You never know. Never say never.
Yeah.
I think with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, my opinion is this. It's simple. See out the project. I understand why people say, I had a Spurs fan messaging me the other day saying, you guys have actually got a good opportunity to turn into a big, big club in Europe, even though you already are, but you know what I mean. And then he was like, so why didn't you guys just get Poch? And I was like, listen, Van Gaal, Mourinho, these are two coaches who win trophies everywhere they go. Mourinho, before he came to United, won a trophy, a league title, mind you, at every single team. He came to United, failed. Same with Van Gaal. He had the same CV. He won a league title at Barca. He won a league title at almost every other team he went to, came to United and failed. I know Poch is good, but people lube him up like he's perfect, like he doesn't take shits, like he doesn't fart, and it's just for me. I don't want to see that again. By the way, my phone's just about to die, so I can't do anything about that. But yeah, that's my opinion on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I wouldn't change it for anything. Just give me a sec.
It's the nature of live content, I guess.
Hilarious, to be honest. Yeah, it's curtains. Like my phone's about to die. I've got it in the charger now, but I had to move positions.
That's fine. I think we nearly done anyway.
Cool, mate.
Yeah. But anyways, to finish off the video, all I'll say with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is finish out the project. I think he deserves to be in the job. I think he deserves us to give him time, and I hope the board actually back him. And also what I would say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't going to sign Fellaini. He isn't going to sign. He's not going to make these dodgy signings that we've been making over the last few years. He seems to have a good understanding of what he wants in his team. The young player with a bit of experience under his belt who's looking for the step up. Harry Maguire, young, played in the Premier League, all right, but didn't play really in an established top four side. Came to Old Trafford. Aaron Wan-Bissaka played in the Premier League. Wanted a step up to a bigger team. Came to Old Trafford. Bruno Fernandes, same thing. Maybe you can't really say he played in the Premier League because the Portuguese league is the standards are pretty low compared to that. But the point is, he was an experienced player who was clearly way above the level he was playing at, and he was looking for a step up. So yeah, Igalo's the only dodgy signing we made, and even that has worked out.
Igalo worked out. So I wish you could say.
Yeah. So yeah, that has been your Manchester United season review. Please do hit that like button. Please do subscribe if you are new. Engage down in the comments down below. And yeah, peace out.